The rise of American steel. Back in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the US steel industry was a titan, a powerhouse that fueled America's industrial revolution. We were building skyscrapers, railroads, bridges, and ships, all made possible by abundant steel production. But even back then, the industry was no stranger to protectionism. The government slapped tariffs on imported steel to give domestic producers an edge. This helped the industry grow, but it also made steel more expensive for American manufacturers and consumers. Post-war boom and bust. After World War II, the US steel industry experienced a boom. Demand for steel was high, and America was a global leader in production. But as other countries rebuilt their industries and adopted newer technologies, the competition started to heat up. By the 1970s, the US steel industry was facing a crisis. Cheaper import steel was flooding the market, and domestic producers were struggling to keep up. They turned to the government for help, and the government responded with a series of protectionist measures, tariffs, and even voluntary export restraints from other countries. A cycle of protectionism. This cycle of protectionism would repeat itself over the decades. Every time the industry faced a downturn, it would lobby for more protection, and the government often obliged. But did it work? Well, the results were mixed. In the short term, protectionism might have saved some jobs and kept some steel mills running, but in the long run, it arguably did more harm than good. Higher prices. Protectionism made steel more expensive for American manufacturers, making their products less competitive globally. Innovation stagnation. With less competition, there was less incentive for domestic steel producers to innovate and become more efficient. Trade wars. Protectionism often led to retaliation from other countries, triggering trade wars that hurt everyone involved. The modern steel landscape. Today, the US steel industry is a shadow of its former self. It still produces a significant amount of steel, but it's no longer the dominant global player it once was. And while protectionism still rears its head from time to time, there is a growing recognition that it's not a sustainable solution. Lessons learned. So, what can we learn from the history of the US steel industry? Protectionism is a band-aid, not a cure. It might provide temporary relief, but it doesn't address the underlying issues that make an industry uncompetitive. Innovation and adaptation are key. Industries need to constantly innovate and adapt to changing global markets to remain competitive. There is no easy answer. Striking the right balance between protecting domestic industries and promoting free trade is a complex challenge. Conclusion. The story of the US steel industry is a cautionary tale about the dangers of relying too heavily on protectionism. It's a reminder that true competitiveness comes from innovation and the ability to adapt to a constantly changing global landscape. While there may be times when some level of protection is necessary, it should be used sparingly and strategically with a focus on helping industries become more competitive in the long run.